The floor to the representative of Denmark.
Let me also thank Deputy Special Coordinator Alak Barrow for his briefing. Mr. President, 1 week ago, world leaders convened for the high-level conference on the two-state solution. The vast majority reaffirmed their unwavering support for the lasting peace and the two-state solution. In the midst of this dark chapter in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we saw a glimpse of hope, of momentum that we must dare to build on. This is why the Foreign Minister of Denmark announced last week that the keys to recognition of a Palestinian state will no longer lie in the hands of the Israeli government. The Palestinians themselves must become masters of their own destiny. Denmark welcomes the commitments made by President Abbas regarding democratic reform and condemnation of Hamas, confirming that they can have no role in Gaza. It's crucial that we seize this momentum to move forward on these commitments towards a viable and democratic Palestinian state. However, the two-state solution is at a critical junction. It's challenged by Israel's direct opposition to its realization, by the expansion of illegal settlements, and by threats to annex the West Bank and Gaza. Since our last briefing in June, Israel has approved the E1 settlement plan, a plan that will, if implemented, gravely undermine the two-state solution. Denmark strongly condemns this decision and urges Israel to halt any such attempt. We continue to see new expansions of settlements, widespread settler violence, forced displacement of local communities, and demolition orders of Palestinian-owned structures, including in East Jerusalem. Denmark's position is clear. We firmly condemn all of these actions and policies. Israeli settlements are a clear violation of international law, and they make it virtually impossible to form a connected and viable land for a future Palestinian state. Mr. President, there must also be concerted efforts to support the Palestinian Authority and its commitment to reform. Denmark remains greatly concerned by the PA's deteriorating financial situation. We have recently joined the Emergency Coalition for Palestine and have allocated approximately $8 million in additional support. We have also been at the forefront of EU support for capacity building and reform of the Palestinian authorities. We call on Israel to urgently release the withheld tax revenues it collects on behalf of the Palestinian Authority and to renew the bank agreement. Mr. President, next week we are marking a devastating anniversary. We will never forget the brutal terror attack by Hamas on 7 October 2023. Just little over a week ago, another attack at the Allenby crossing, which we strongly condemn. But there can be no justification for terrorism, nor for the despicable maltreatment of the hostages. We have consistently stressed that Israel's response must be exercised in compliance with international law, including international humanitarian law, and we are now seeing that Israel's actions go far beyond self-defense. A man-made famine is unfolding. Denmark is deeply concerned by the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza, and it's deeply troubling that we now see reports of reduced, not improved, humanitarian access. We urge the government of Israel to provide authorization for international NGOs' operations in the OPT. They should not be forced to leave at a time when their services are needed more than ever. Mr. President, in closing, despite opposition and cynicism, last week provided new hope for a peaceful future for Israelis and Palestinians. For years, weapons and violence have spoken. Now is the time to implement the Resolution 2334 and for international law to prevail. Denmark remains committed to playing our part. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement. Now I give the floor to representative of Guyana.
Mr. President, I thank Deputy Special Coordinator Ramris Alakbarov for presenting the report of the Secretary General on the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2334. It is deeply alarming that Israel not only fails to comply with the provisions of the resolution, but also continues